I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, can we please start with a roll call?
Council President McGurven,
Here.
Councilmember Prince,
Here.
Councilmember Perez,
Here.
Councilmember Vaughn,
Here.
Councilmember Albertson,
Here.
Councilmember Rivera,
Here.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
All right, thank you. And we're going to start off tonight with a public hearing. It's about our 2023-2024 biennial budget. This is the second hearing, and we have our own Carrie with us.
Yes, thank you. So the city is required to hold a public hearing prior to the adoption of the biennial budget, as well as setting the property tax levy for the upcoming year. So the first public hearing was held on June 27th earlier this year. Tonight represents the second, and next Monday on October 24th will be our third. All of the public hearings have been appropriately noticed and provide an opportunity for public comment. Just a few highlights. The proposed 2023-24 budget has a citywide budget revenue of $584.5 million in revenues and expenditures of $581.2 over the biennium. The general fund, which is the city's primary operating fund, has revenues of $254.9 million and expenditures of $260.4 million. The property tax levy makes up approximately 20% of the general fund revenues, and other business taxes such as sales tax makes up 30%. Of the general fund expenditures, approximately 38% is for public safety, 13% for public works and parks and recreation, 10% for community economic development, and 3% for human services and housing. The overall personnel costs for the general fund make up about 62% of the full expenditures, and additional details on our proposed budget can be found at our website at rentonwa.gov/budget. And I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
One signed up to speak today. Do we have any correspondence?
We had no correspondence or people signed up to speak. That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Questions or concerns from the council at this time? I think you already had 3 hours of that. So what's to the council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council
I
President
move
McGurven.
we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Council President McGurven, second by Councilmember Prince, that we close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. So next up is the administrative report.
All right. Good evening, everyone. A large cottonwood tree fell across the Cedar River from Liberty Park to the opposite bank and will remain in place until after the salmon spawning this year. Signs will be posted at various locations upriver to alert potential boaters of the obstruction. For more information, contact Ian Gray, Urban Forestry and Natural Resources Manager at 425-430-6600. The next pop-up lunch event will be held Tuesday, October 18th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. at Sunset Park, 2680 Sunset Lane Northeast. Ready-to-eat lunch and drinks from Amazon Fresh, personal hygiene kits, cleaning supplies, and socks will be available to those with food insecurities and/or are unsheltered. This event is sponsored by the Equity Housing and Human Services Department and the Emergency Feeding Program. South King County Valley Police agencies, to include Renton, Auburn, Des Moines, Federal Way, Kent, Tukwila, and Port of Seattle, are hosting their first Diversity in Law Enforcement career workshop on Saturday, November 5th, 8:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This free workshop aims to address the real and perceived barriers of those seeking a career in law enforcement and provide strategies to navigate the hiring process successfully. The agencies are committed to recruiting participants who reflect the diversity of South King County, such as people who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA+, women, bilingual individuals, and those with no prior law enforcement experience. Please register at rentonwa.gov/Valley Police Careers. Information about preventative street maintenance, traffic impact projects, road closures, and I-405 work happening this week can be found at rentonwa.gov/traffic. All projects are weather permitting unless otherwise noted. Streets will always remain open.
Okay, thank you. Next up is audience comment. We have nobody signed up digitally, but we do have two people in person. When I call your name, please come to the podium. Give us your name, city of residence, and the topic you're wanting to speak on. You'll have 3 minutes. And the first one is Dan Clawson.
Hi, I'm Dan Clawson. Some of you know me. I live in the city of Renton, and I'm here to talk about the Renton History Museum, and specifically the new agreement we're working on between the city and the Renton Historical Society for operation of the Renton History Museum. So, as you know, as you may not know, I was recently appointed as the president of the Historical Society, and I served on the city council from 1996 until 2007. And I served alongside the late Terry Breyer, so some of you may know. And Terry was contributed so much to the museum as council liaison to the Historical Society, and she was the driving force behind our acquisition of the Roxy Theater neon sign that's on display at the museum. And some of you may have seen that. The Historical Society is a nonprofit membership corporation. And since the late 1960s, the Historical Society has worked in a cooperative partnership with the city of Renton to provide the citizens of Renton with a history museum located in the historic Art Deco fire station at 235 Mill Avenue South. And the Historical Society provides oversight and support for the museum while managing and continually adding to our vast and irreplaceable collection of artifacts, photos, and documents, and making them available for historical research and display at the museum. We have also provided a museum curator, a volunteer and outreach coordinator, and other museum support staff. The Historical Society's members' dues and donations and the proceeds of joint fundraising efforts are used to help pay for the museum's expenses. The Historical Society's 501c3 status makes it possible for the museum to receive grants that would not otherwise be available. And the museum management agreement governing the relationship between the Historical Society and the city was written and signed in 2005. It expired in 2015, and now we really need a new agreement that sets out clear and workable policies and procedures to help the city and the Historical Society better coordinate in the long-term and short-term strategic planning, budgeting, volunteer recruitment, and staffing for the museum. So employment, whistleblower, and other policies that eliminate all forms of discrimination and create a safe environment where every employee, every board member, and every volunteer can reach their full potential need to be included in this agreement. And the Historical Society, we have been working with Museum Manager Elizabeth Stewart and Renton Director of Parks and Recreation Kelly Beamer on a temporary agreement to bridge us over while we work together on a new museum management agreement to present to the City Council as early next year as is reasonably possible. We deeply appreciate the city's generous support of the museum, and we look forward to many more years of collaboration in telling Renton's story to our community and beyond. Thank you for your time. Good evening.
Thank you. And yeah, the museum is definitely an important treasure here in Renton. So thank you for stepping up and assisting the museum in getting that agreement together. So, and thank you for coming and speaking tonight too.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next up is Diane Dobson.
Main Council and Administration. I'm Diane Dobson, the CEO of the Renton Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to come forward tonight and share some of the activities that recently that the Renton Chamber of Commerce has had, and thank the city for your ongoing support of these programs put on by both members of the Chamber and by the Chamber itself. This past weekend, we had a beautiful event put on by Vasudha Sharma, who is the executive director of Voice of Planet, called Diwali Festival of Lights. This event included curators, vendors for the first time in public, bazaar, food, art, and music. Miss World America was there to have a ribbon cutting to celebrate this first of an annual, hoped to be annual event. My screen went blank.
Across the paper.
Gotta go from memory now.
Oh gosh, I don't know that I can do that. Bear with me. I'll still be under the 3 minutes, I promise. Miss World America was there to have a ribbon cutting to celebrate the first of what is hoped to be an annual event. As I mentioned previously, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I want to thank the city for your silhouettes in the lobby representing tragic victims of domestic violence in our community, and the purple lights on the trees bringing attention to the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you guys could see what's happening on our screen. Tomorrow night, the Chamber will be continuing their full-month series of free workshops and classes with Laura Bellinger, who is a Refuse to be a Victim instructor on situational awareness, and Diana Pinto from Renton's own Pinto's Gun Shop will be there presenting on responsible gun ownership, recognizing that many victims take steps, some extreme steps they feel necessary to protect themselves, and responsible approach is paramount in whatever approach is taken. Next week, Marcy Wombold from Self-Defense Discovery will be leading a discussion and workshop, and all workshops are from 6 to 8:30 p.m. and are free to participants. I appreciate the council using your platform for awareness of these programs. This past week, we had Katya Wojcik from Project Be Free and Sergeant John Awai from the Renton Police Department talking about domestic violence, what that can look like, and how members of our community can be supportive allies for those looking to escape their situations and circumstance. Project Be Free has domestic violence awareness and safe space program called the Luna Project, and I would encourage each and every council member to familiarize yourself with the great work this organization is doing, including serving alongside our own Renton Police Department in their response to domestic violence calls in our community. Again, I appreciate the city continuing to uplift the message and programs in our community. As for some, domestic violence awareness falls in October only. For others, domestic violence they live with is all year long. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And next up is the consent agenda. We have 7 items. Are there any items that council would like pulled for separate consideration?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Council President McGurven.
seeing none, I move approval of the consent agenda as published.
Second.
It's been moved by Council President McGurven, seconded by Councilmember Prince, that the consent agenda be approved as published. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're on to unfinished business. Council President McGurven,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Committee has a committee report to present.
Public Safety Committee report, interlocal agreement for school resource officers between the City of Renton and Renton School District number 403. The Public Safety Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement between the City of Renton and the Renton School District number 403. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move that the council concur with the committee report.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, seconded by Councilmember Van, that the committee concur with the Public Safety Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Councilmember Van.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Transportation Committee has one committee report.
Transportation Aviation Committee report, amendment number 6-22 with a lease with Bozair LLC. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute amendment number 6-22 to LAG 12-004, which is a lease with Bozair LLC for the 2021 expansion area at the Renton Municipal Airport. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council concur with the Transportation Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Van, second by Councilmember Prince, that the council concur with the Transportation Committee report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. We're on to legislation. We have one resolution and one ordinance for second
Mayor?
and final reading.
I don't think we
Oh,
finished
we
the
haven't
unfinished
finished.
business.
Sorry, Councilmember Albertson.
So
you have
glad
any
you asked. No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Awful.
Councilmember Rivera.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad you didn't forget about us.
O'Halloran.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
I was racing on to legislation. That's 2 weeks in a row, too. 2 for 2. All right. Now we're on to legislation.
Okay, we have a resolution regarding the interlocal agreement with the Renton School District. Resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an interlocal agreement with Renton School District number 403 for the purpose of school resource officers for 2022 through 2023.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Perez.
I move that the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Perez, seconded by Councilmember Van, that the resolution be adopted as read. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, we have up next is an ordinance for second and final reading. It's regarding the 2022 year-end budget adjustment. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending the City of Renton fiscal years 2021-2022 biennial budget as adopted by ordinance number 5991 and amended by ordinance numbers 6017, 6021, 6030, 6062, and 6073 by increasing the budgeted revenues and expenditures by $44,523,098 and $33,349,933 respectively, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember O'Halloran.
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember O'Halloran, seconded by Councilmember Perez, that the ordinance be adopted as read. Any discussion? This is a second reading. It requires a roll call.
Council President McGurven.
Aye.
Councilmember Prince.
Aye.
Councilmember Perez.
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Aye.
Councilmember Albertson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
And Councilmember O'Halloran.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
All right, motion carries. We are on to new business. Council President McGurven.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to announce the committee meeting for Committee of the Whole. It's going to be on Monday, October 24th at 5:45 p.m. Here in Chambers and via video conference. There's just one item on the agenda, and it is the 2023-2024 budget. Spoiler alert. So we'll continue our budget discussions. Thank you to all of the budget presenters we had, and to all the people who work behind the scenes to put work into that. So I appreciate that and looking forward to moving on with the process. I was to say closing it out, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. And then after that, speaking of getting ahead of myself, we'll have our regular council meeting at 7 p.m. That same day here in Chambers and video conference. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Monday, October 24th, at 4:45 p.m. in the council conference room and by video conference, the Plan and Development Committee will meet. We have two items on the agenda. Number one, Clean Economy Strategy 2.0 update and emerging issues in CED. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Perez.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Van.
No new business, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Robertson.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Rivera.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember O'Halloran.
But of course, here. The Finance Committee will be meeting on Monday, the 24th at 3:45 p.m. in the council conference room and via video conference. We have 7 items on the agenda. The first is the multi-use tractor purchase for the airport. Coulon Park picnic floats and ADA grant agreement. King County Health Resources fair fee waiver request, October 2022. Fourth is the agreement with Plant and Moran for the Information Technology Strategic Plan. Lease Amendment 4 with Amazing Grace Lutheran Church School. 6th is vouchers, and 7th is emerging issues in finance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all.
All right, what is the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're adjourned.